Hello everyone, my name is Kieran. Welcome to the Manchester United versus Leicester Premier League preview. And before we get into all of that, as always, please do leave a like if you're not already and subscribe to the channel if you are new. We're only 2 subscribers away now from 760 subscribers. Thank you so much for all support on the channel. We really appreciate it. And also, make sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. What are your score predictions and any general questions you have for me as well? Please do let me know in the comment section below. And also, before we get into this, I just want to say, in my previous video, we updated the standings and everything to do with the Red Devil Weekly Fantasy Premier League. So if you did miss that one, go check it out. It's up on the channel right now. And yeah, you can potentially see yourself, and also you'll be able to see my team, what I'm going into this game week with, and potentially pick up some tips. But anyway, we're going to get straight into this match preview, and of course, as usual, you can leave your thoughts in the live chat on the game, what you're thinking going into it. Are you confident as a Manchester United fan, or even a Leicester fan if you are watching it? Please let me know in the live chat. But we're going to start off by talking about the opponents, Leicester, as we always do. And they are high flying in the moment, currently sitting third in the table. They've had a really good start to the season, still unbeaten. They've won their last 2 games as well, so brilliant start for Brendan Rodgers' side, especially after losing, Harry Maguire, one of their main key assets. They've replaced him with a brilliant centre-back, and it's working well for them, you have to say. And some people would actually say that Leicester come into this game as favourites, and it's hard to disagree in some ways. United have been hit very heavily with injury crisis. Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial, Aaron Wan-Bissaka don't look like they're going to be able to feature in the game. Jesse Lingard as well, although some people would say that's not a hindrance to Manchester United, but I digress. And Leicester are firing at the moment. Jamie Vardy is on a brilliant run of form. James Maddison, a potential United target for January, if you believe the papers, going well. So they've got some players that can really hurt us. And they've shown against a team that's very similar to us, in my opinion, in Chelsea, they caused them a lot of problems and came away from Stamford Bridge with the draw. So it's going to be a very difficult game for us, especially off the back of our previous results, where we've had a shocking run of form. A shocking run of form, really. And this is a massive game for Solskjaer, because I feel like if we don't get 3 points in this game, the pressure will be ramped up on him so highly. And welcome to Nick, by the way. Thanks for joining. He says, Ipswich top of the league for a change. Well, Ipswich, of course, didn't have the better seasons last year in the Championship, but it seems like they're doing alright. So fair play to you, Nick. Fair play to you. Hopefully Ipswich go up this year. And yeah, I'm rooting for you. But yeah, anyway, as I said, Leicester, they're coming into this game, won their last 2, a 3-1 win against Bournemouth in their last Premier League game. They look impressive, guys. I have to say, they look very impressive. Jamie Vardy is always going to be a goal threat. Obviously, last time he came to Old Trafford, did bag himself a goal in a 2-1 loss, but still, he's always threatening, especially against the top 6 sides. He seems to really like causing upsets, and that's what he does best. James Maddison as well. I want to talk about James Maddison, because he is someone that has been linked with Manchester United quite furiously over the last few weeks. And a lot of people were saying that we should have really gone for him, because we were crying out for a centre midfield option in the summer, and we didn't bring any in the end. We think we were kind of really trying to go for Bruno Fernandes, and then in the end, it seemed like we weren't trying to go for Bruno Fernandes, and it really begged the question, were we even trying to go for anyone at all in that department? And if we weren't, I don't know. I don't know how the board of directors, Ed Woodward, is still there if they didn't see that we needed a centre midfield player. But someone like a James Maddison, young British talent, I think would really suit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's plan and the mould that he's trying to build at Manchester United. So I think James Maddison is someone who's going to be talked about a lot, in the lead up to January, and also in the lead up to the summer if we don't get him in January. So again, I feel like James Maddison could have a big part to play in this game. Really good on set pieces, and he's one of the best at creating chances in the whole of Europe. And he plays for Leicester. That's pretty impressive. But again, we didn't get to see too much of him over the international break, which I think a lot of fans would have found kind of, really annoying. And I did find it very annoying that we weren't able to see James Maddison in all his glory playing for England. But I think James Maddison definitely one for the future. Someone who I think United should really be looking at, and someone who's going to cause United problems. He did cause United problems last season when he played us at Old Trafford. So I have no doubts that he's going to cause us problems as well. And Jamie Vardy and Maddison, that partnership is going to be fantastic for them. So we have to be on our toes. Welcome, Patrick. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. He says, hi, man. Missed some of the streams. Had a motorbike accident. Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that, mate. Hopefully you're alright. He says, not too bad, just scratches. Anyway, footy on this weekend. I need a good result. I think we all need a good result, mate. Totally agree. All need a good result. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, first of all, I want to say, hopefully you're right. Hopefully, luckily that motorbike accident didn't seem too bad. So I'm thankful that you're watching this. Welcome, Reese. Thanks for joining, mate. Really appreciate it. Says, you like Everton. I mean, I don't really like Everton, to be honest with you. I'm not really an Everton fan, but as you can tell, I'm a Man United fan. But Everton, I mean, they're better than Liverpool. I mean, as in, I'd rather support Everton than Liverpool, but again, I probably won't be supporting Everton anytime soon. But yeah, thanks for joining, guys. Really appreciate it. But Leicester are going to be a tough opposition. And I think actually they're going to be a tough opposition to break down as well. I think they'll fancy their chances at Old Trafford, especially after our latest kind of results and the fact we haven't been playing too well. They will fancy their chances. They will, put the pressure right back onto Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and the team. From minute one, they're going to press us really high. They're going to make it really difficult for us. I totally, I can't see anything else but that happening. And their defence is actually very, very solid. They brought the new guy in at the back. I can't remember his name, but they brought the new centre-back in alongside Johnny Evans, former Manchester United player, of course. The cult figure that is Johnny Evans. Very, very good, partnership, you have to say. They're going to be very, very difficult to break down. Patrick says, don't know any team news. You do in the starting 11. Yep, I have predicted the starting 11 and I will get onto that very, very soon indeed. So yeah, my predicted starting 11, I'm not sure really how accurate it's going to be because Solskjaer did hint at the fact that we have a bit of an injury crisis, and that does lead me in to talking about Manchester United and the injury crisis that we have at the moment, because Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial, Aaron Wan-Bissaka all pulling out of international duty. On the treatment table, Jesse Lingard as well. It's not looking good really in that department, especially as well the fullbacks Luke Shaw being injured. It's going to be a bit of a makeshift defence and a bit of a makeshift team overall. Obviously no Anthony Martial, which is a really big miss for me because I think Marcus Rashford, he's trying his best, but he's just not playing well for us at all at the moment. Not in good form whatsoever. And really, in these sort of games, you need to have clinical forwards. Now, maybe he might prove me wrong. He might prove me wrong, but at the same time, Marcus Rashford needs to start finding form because, again, he's someone where a lot of pressure is going on his young shoulders. He's still only 21. I personally don't agree with kind of, bashing him too hard, but at the same time, he has that number 10 shirt. He needs to be one of the main focal points in the team. Currently, we're relying on Daniel James to get us a point. It's mental. But yeah, I feel like with no Martial, it's going to be a bit of a struggle. It does give an opportunity for Solskjaer to play the likes of, Mason Greenwood, Chong and Gomez. But for me, and you'll see this in my predicted 11, I think he'll probably go with some more experienced members like Mata and Nemanja Matic. He did hint at that in his pre-match press conference. So I wouldn't agree with that, to be honest with you. I want to see more youth. I want to see him, blooding the youth. I think a lot of people do think that that's what he was trying to do. But it does seem like, he does like to revert back to type somewhat. Nemanja Matic coming on as a substitute in the game against Southampton. Juan Mata coming on as a substitute as well. So both of those players, I would bet my house on them starting tomorrow, to be honest with you. And a lot of United fans won't be happy with that. Simple as that. They will not be happy with that. Reece says Marcus Rojo is going in January. I think you're right, Reece. I definitely think you're right. He was very, very close to leaving on deadline day to Everton. We kept our man in the end, but I do think the deal's just kind of been put on hold. I feel like it's going to happen anyway. So Marcus Rojo, I do think is going to start tomorrow, and I think that's a bit of a spoiler alert for the team, by the way. But I do think Marcus Rojo is going to start at fullback tomorrow, which I'm not looking forward to. He's a bit rash at times. He's one of those kind of, Marmite players. You either love him or you hate him. And he can either have a really, really good game or a terrible game. And more often than not, he doesn't have the best of games, which is probably why Solskjaer's looking to, looking to kind of loan him out. Well, not loan him out, but get him out of the club. I think Solskjaer and the backroom staff do see, Marcus Rojo as deadwood in the team. So I feel like if he does play, it's not a really good sign for our defence. And I think he will play, unfortunately, because I don't see what other options we've got, to be honest with you. But talking a bit about the defence, I think Harry Maguire as well, obviously coming up against his former Leicester teammates, it could be a bit of a sticky one for him. Obviously coming up against his former side, it's always difficult. For strikers, it usually means they're going to score. But for defenders, it's very, very kind of sticky. It's very nervy because you don't want to concede a sloppy goal against your former team because just the memes, the fact you'd just be ruined on the internet for ages. So, again, Harry Maguire will be kind of thinking about that, I think. I mean, you might say, he's a professional, he's not going to think about that sort of thing, but I think it's very, very difficult for that not to go through your brain at least once when you're thinking about the game. But I think he'll be excited as well to face his former teammates, and you might think, he'll know that Jamie Vardy and James Maddison, these sort of people, inside out. He should know how they behave, but I think it's going to be difficult for Harry Maguire, to be honest with you, but hopefully we keep the clean sheet. I mean, Man United and clean sheet isn't really two phrases that you've been able to associate with each other over the last, even since the Chelsea game, really. But if we could get a clean sheet, I think I'd be over the moon with that. I'd be over the moon. Welcome on the pitch. Welcome, Rodney. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it. Make sure you do check out his channel if you haven't already. Really, really good stuff on there. So, yeah, a bit about Manchester United, of course, as I was talking about, the injury crisis that seems to be going on at the moment we talked a bit about what it'll mean for the defence. With the midfield, no Paul Pogba in that midfield tomorrow, which begs the question, will it be Fred, will it be Gomez, or will it be Pereira filling that spot? Because for me, I feel like he's going to go McTominay and Matic. We saw Matic come off the bench against Southampton. Obviously, McTominay is going to get into the first 11. So it's really that last centre midfield spot. And I think the fact that Martial is also out potentially could mean that Pereira will play winger. We saw that Solskjaer did play Andres Pereira as a winger in the Wolves game, I believe. So I think he's happy to play Pereira either as a central midfielder or as a winger. So potentially we could see Pereira on the wing and we could see Fred in that central midfield spot. A lot of people are saying it could be Juan Mata. It could be Juan Mata coming in as well. I'll put that question to you guys in the live chat. Who do you think will be taking Paul Pogba's space in that midfield? But in my opinion, I do think that obviously Pogba, whilst he can be very creative, he hasn't been on form at the moment. So in some ways it could be a blessing in disguise not having Paul Pogba and seeing how we cope without him. Rodney seems to think that we'll cope with Pogba just fine. He says no Pogba, more of a chance. I mean, the thing is, you could be absolutely right with that. I mean, you'd be kidding yourself to say that Paul Pogba's been playing well. Over the last, since the start of the season, really. Yes, he did get those few assists against Chelsea, but ever since that game, he just hasn't been showing up whatsoever, dropping kind of 5 out of 10s, if that. So, whilst, it's a bit of a loss not having him as an option, maybe it's a good chance to have the likes of kind of Fred play, potentially Pereira as well, so we'll see. Welcome, TTX and Angelino, thanks for joining, guys. Really appreciate it. He says, evening, guys, why doesn't Gomez get a chance? Ole has to play youth instead of Matic and Mata. I totally agree, but as you'll see in my predicted 11, I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I'll show you that in just a second. Angelino says, wouldn't be surprised to see Mata start. As you'll see, as I'll say again, as you'll see, I wouldn't be surprised if Mata was going to start either. And welcome, Ricky. Thanks for joining. Really appreciate it, Ricky. Hopefully you guys are having wonderful days. Obviously, it's the weekend. Premier League football is back. And as I said at the start, I'm not saying I hate international football because there were some very interesting games. The England game was very interesting. Very interesting watch indeed. Fair play to Kosovo, I've got to say. But still, great to have Premier League football back as well. And We got to get it. We got to get, hit the ground running on this one. I think if we do lose to Leicester, I think the pressure levels, they're kind of down here, the pressure levels on Solskjaer. But if we lose to Leicester, I think there'll be a slight rise. There'll just be that slight rise. And what Solskjaer doesn't need at the moment is a rise in pressure. But he's experiencing now what it's like to be a full-time manager. Obviously, he was just the part-time, the guy that was putting smiles back on everyone's faces. But now he's signed that contract. He's almost, we might see Solskjaer go from the babyface assassin to aging 5 or 10 years. We might see that. We saw that happen to Mourinho. He looked an absolute wreck before he kind of left Manchester United. So we might see that happen with Solskjaer. Ricky says Ole doesn't trust the youth. He never has and never will. Well, maybe he was tricking us with all the youth he was playing on pre-season, but I do feel like Solskjaer does have a soft spot for the youth. I do feel like he does care about the youth, but at the same time, I think he likes to go back to old favourites like Matic, like Mata, and I think he mentioned that in his pre-match press conference that Matic and Mata are probably going to have to step up in this game, and I think a lot of United fans, I'm sure you guys as well would agree with me, would rather see Gomez play, would rather see Mason Greenwood get a chance on that right-hand side, but I don't see it happening. To be honest with you guys, I don't see it happening, and I will show you my predicted starting 11 in just a second. And as you'll see, I don't see it happening. But hey, what can you do? Solskjaer's a manager. He's got to make his own mistakes. Ricky says at the end of the season there were 400 billion opportunities. At the one time we saw youth was Greenwood against Cardiff. That was it. That is the point. I think actually if you go back and watch that game against Cardiff, Greenwood was pretty much the best player on the pitch. He should have had at least 2 goals in that game. So, yes, obviously it's Cardiff at home, but at the same time, you've got to say that Mason Greenwood does look decent. He came on against Southampton and was arguably one of our best players. And he was only on the pitch for like 15 minutes. I don't understand why we don't give Greenwood more of a chance. Potentially, playing youth isn't sound. Their midfield could arguably be better than ours with Pogba in, or arguably better than ours with Pogba, sorry. With Pogba out, you want to throw in Gomez against Ndidi. It's a point. It is a point. I don't think that... I feel like Paul Pogba at the moment is in a rotten bit of form, I have to say. He's not playing well at all. So maybe Gomez wouldn't do any worse than Paul Pogba at the time. But I would like to see Gomez play, and I feel like we probably will see Gomez play against Rochdale in the Carabao Cup. I think Solskjaer, that is where he's going to be testing the waters on our young players. So I don't think we'll see the likes of Gomez or Chong playing in the Premier League unless they come off the bench until we see them in a Carabao Cup game. That's my point anyway. Reece says, get rid of Mata and get someone like Lozano. Well, look, Lozano is someone who's been touted a lot by Manchester United fans. I haven't seen too much of Lozano, to be honest with you. What I've heard is very, very good. I've seen a few of his games in the Champions League, but other than that, I can't confess to say I've been, watching him week in, week out. He does sound like a decent player. Whether he'd want to come to Manchester United, let's face it, Manchester United is a step down from PSV at the moment. I think he's actually gone to Napoli, but at the same time, we're not a Champions League club anymore. It would be a step down for him to join Manchester United. We've got to remember that. We've got to remember we're not as good as we used to be. We're not the attractive proposition that we used to be. We're not in the Champions League, so how are we going to attract big players? Ricky says, I'd rather Ole show some faith in the rebuild than start Mata and Matic, who are short term. Show some faith in the lads. I think, look, the rebuild and everything like that is going to take time. It is going to take a lot of time. And I think playing these older players doesn't really help the cause. You want to be playing the young players, and even if they don't have the best of games, at least if you're showing the intent of bringing about change and bringing through the youth of the club, I think the fans will have a lot more faith and a lot more respect, and give you a lot more time if it starts to go wrong. But if you're playing, kind of the older people, the more experienced people who we already know don't really work for this club, then people are going to start asking questions, and rightly so. Reece says Ole needs a show and Tuanzebe should play over Lindelof. Well, Lindelof hasn't been having the best of times at the moment either. I do agree with you, but I still think that Victor Lindelof has shown some brilliant... I think for me, I still think Lindelof's probably one of our best centre-backs. I do think our best partnership at the moment is Maguire and Lindelof. I think Tuanzebe, again, will get his chance against Rochdale in the Carabao Cup. But until then, I feel like Lindelof and Maguire is going to be our partnership. So I think Lindelof is decent. I think even though he didn't have the best of games, I still think Lindelof is a very, very solid centre-back indeed. So you might disagree with me, and of course, if you do have any thoughts and opinions, let me know your thoughts in the live chat. But I'm going to be going into now my predicted starting 11. If you guys want to join in as well and give your predicted starting 11s for the game, please do let me know in the live chat right now. But we're going to get into it, and here is my predicted starting 11. Graphics, as always, presented by Rashford Jawara. I'm not sure if he's in the stream right now, but if he is, thank you so much as well. So there you go. Here is my predicted lineup. So, going with David De Gea in goal, of course, a lot of buzz around potentially the fact that he signed a new deal at Manchester United, which would be brilliant. I'm not sure why he'd want to stay on, but fair play to him for the loyalty. Ashley Young at left back, unfortunately, due to Luke Shaw not being available. Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof. Harry Maguire, of course, going up against his former side. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I've gone with on the right. Now, I'm not sure whether Wan-Bissaka is going to be available for this game. Solskjaer said he was going to be a doubt, but Wan-Bissaka is on the right-hand side of our defence there. Gone with Matic, McTominay and Mata. Now, as I was saying before, I wasn't sure whether Solskjaer realistically was going to play the likes of Gomez in the midfield or Fred, and I don't think he will. I feel like, from what he said in the press conference, I see him going for more Mata and Matic, which won't please a lot of United fans. A lot of United fans will be annoyed with that, so unfortunately, that's what I'm predicting, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Then the front three have gone with Daniel James. I mean, what a player, Jeff. What a player. Hopefully, he continues his good form. Marcus Rashford up front. No Martial in this game. And Andres Pereira on the right. But it could be Mason Greenwood. Again, that is another tenuous one. Potentially, Mason Greenwood could play there. I just have a feeling that Solskjaer may revert to tried and tested players. And I think Andres Pereira is someone who he wants to rely on. So that is just starting a lineup. Not very glamorous, to say the least, to be honest with you, with Mata and Matic in there. But that's what I'm predicting. Yeah, exactly. What do you guys think? Thank you very much for the voice over my shoulder. Please let me know in the live chat what you think of the lineup. Let's read a few of your comments. Angelino says, in January, I'd love us to snatch Maddison and Ndidi and fill the midfield around Pogba. I think Maddison, yes. I think Maddison, I'm not sure about Ndidi. I think Ndidi, a lot of people are saying he's very, very good. But at the same time, I'm not sure about him, but we'll obviously see him tomorrow. But I think Maddison, definitely, I'd love to see Maddison come to Manchester United. I think he's someone who just completely fits the mould that Solskjaer is trying to build, and I think it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. Ricky says, in my opinion, we shouldn't sign players around Pogba. Let him go this summer, and we'll rebuild the midfield. Our signings over the last few years have been to unlock Pogba. Hasn't worked. It's a good point. Matic was brought in to unlock Pogba, and it looked like he did. But Pogba, again, his performances were too inconsistent. Last season, Pogba didn't have the best. I mean, he was our top goal scorer, Pogba, last season, but at the same time, his performances weren't consistent enough for me. So maybe it's right. Maybe it is right to get rid of Pogba. Maybe it will be right. Reece says, man, you need Declan Rice. I've seen a lot of people saying Declan Rice for Manchester United. Now, I think he's a good player, but is now the right time? Is now the right time to get Declan Rice? I mean, some of the prices I've seen quoted for him, £90 million. Are you mad? Are you mad? £90 million for Declan Rice. I mean, the world's gone mad if that happens. The world has gone mental. But I think he's a good player. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player. I don't see it. I don't see what. I think potentially in the future we should go for him. But right now, £90 million. Do me a favour. Ricky says, one positive, James is class. He is. He's brilliant. I think Daniel James. Obviously, it's only the first 5 games, you're right, but he's been saving us, getting us points. I mean, even though a point's not good enough, it's remarkable how he's actually in really good goal scoring form, and the fact that we're actually relying on him to get us a point against Southampton. Because let's face it, nobody else in that game looked like scoring, and it was a piece of individual brilliance. If Daniel James can continue to do that, he'll be a very, very good asset. What I hope doesn't happen is that his form doesn't drop off, and he only has a really good start to the season, and then after that he scores maybe 1 or 2 goals, gets 1 or 2 assists. Obviously, it's not right to put so much pressure on such a young player, but at the same time, if he can keep up that sort of form, we might have a chance of getting top 4 this season. That's all I'm saying. Ronnie says, yeah, people are mad. Totally agree. I mean, look at Brexit. Look at the Brexit stuff happening right now. I mean, that just sums up what the people are like nowadays. That everything surrounding that just sums it all up. Angelina says, so you'd rather let a generational player leave our club and let our quality drop levels than let him be the focal point of the rebuild you're wishing for? I don't know. I mean, I think maybe, potentially. Well, I'm not sure if you're referencing Pogba there, but I think Pogba is hard because my patience with Pogba is slightly running thin, because what we always say about Pogba, what I feel like anyway, we've been always saying about Paul Pogba is that, yes, obviously he's not having a good patch, but when Paul Pogba plays well, we usually win the game. But in the first 5 games, realistically, he's played well in only one of those games. And whilst he still kind of creates a few chances here and there, for a player of the stature of Paul Pogba, you'd be expecting a lot more. And I think someone made a good point where, Ricky actually made a good point saying, a lot of our signings, like Matic, have been to try and unlock Paul Pogba. But maybe we don't need other players to unlock Paul Pogba. Maybe Man United's not right for him. I don't know. I mean, I might be shooting the gun. I might be kind of jumping the gun a bit here. But of what I've seen of him, I don't like to be harsh, but I'm not sure whether he's justifying his place. But of course, we'll see what we're like without Paul Pogba in the team tomorrow, because of course he's definitely not available. But I mean, I think Paul Pogba on his day is great, Angelino. Don't get me wrong. I think Paul Pogba on his day is a very, very good asset, but he just doesn't have his day. What am I going to say? He doesn't have his day consistently enough. That's what I meant. Don't start me on Brexit. Yeah, I'm not. That's as far as we're going to go on Brexit. Trust me. Don't worry about that. That's as far as we're going to go. Ricky says Pogba wants to leave. Pogba is a wonder project that hasn't worked. A dynamic, fluid midfield 3 would be better than signing 2 midfielders to get the best out of 1 midfielder. It's an interesting point. It's very interesting, and I feel like we will sign more midfielders. And I think, but the way that all this kind of talk around Pogba's going on, I feel like it's a matter of time that Paul Pogba's going to leave anyway. Mina Raiola has got cash signs in his eyes. He's got the dollar signs streaming down his face, and it's a matter of time, in my opinion. It's a matter of time. So I think we will. Be strengthening that department anyway. Don't mind that. That's just my crew. But anyway, I think we've talked enough about the game. It's time for the main event. It's time for the score predictions. And I know this is what all you guys tune in for. So anyway, get your score predictions right now in the live chat. And also in the comment section below if you have watched this far in the stream. And if you have, thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. But my score prediction for the game, I'm going to get into it. Am I feeling positive? Well, as you know, I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I feel like we can win the game. And I feel like some of the players especially, are going to have a massive point to prove. On the other hand, Leicester come in with their tails up, and they're a very, very decent side. Currently sit 3rd in the table, haven't lost all season. So if we did beat Leicester, this would be the first loss of the season, which is very impressive. I think it's going to be very, very tricky, but I see us just scraping a 2-1 victory at Old Trafford tomorrow. I'm feeling it, guys. I feel like we can get a 2-1 victory. I think Daniel James will continue his goal-scoring form. Obviously, continued it into the international break. Brilliant goal for Wales, similar really to the one he scored against Southampton. And I think Marcus Rashford will get on the score sheet as well. I think he's got a lot of doubters at the moment, but if he does score a goal, that might clear a few of the doubters, at least for the next few games. Some of you might say Harry Maguire to score against his former side. You never know, that could happen, but at the same time, he hasn't really been that much of a threat for us. I mean, he's a threat for England from set pieces, but for us, I'm not sure whether we just don't have a good set piece taker. But he just hasn't been a threat, and that's the only thing I feel like with Harry Maguire. But it could happen. It could happen. I bet the odds on that happening are pretty good. So I'm not a betting man, but if I was going to bet, I might bet on that. And I think if anyone's going to get a goal for Leicester, it will be the main man, Jamie Vardy, to get his goal. So I think it's going to be 2-1 to Manchester United. Daniel James to get his 4th goal of the season, and Marcus Rashford. Ricky was with a 1-1. Brendan will play into Ole's hands. Well, I think Leicester will play, very kind of counter-attacking. They're very, very good. They'll probably press us quite high, actually, to start with, because they know our frailties. But at the same time, if we are able to counter-attack, I think that will, help us out. Angelina says, Fernandinho at his best. Let De Bruyne and Silva be their best. Matic has had one decent season since he arrived. Can't unlock Pogba when you're playing like Matic is. It's a good point, to be fair. It's a good point. Fernandinho was a very, very, an amazing option, really, for Manchester City. And I think he did do wonders for that midfield. And I think Matic, I'm not saying Matic is Fernandinho, not at all. I think that'd be naive, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to... look, I feel like anyway, this dilemma with Pogba probably is going to be solved by next summer. I felt like I said that last summer, but at the same time, I have a feeling that with all the talk about, I think Pogba won't be here next summer. I'd be very, very surprised if he is. So hopefully we get the best out of him before he does leave. But he's not going to be playing in this match. So hopefully the fact he's not been playing so well recently does help us out. We have a new look midfield. Hopefully they have a point to prove. Hopefully they can do the business for us tomorrow. But anyway, I'm going to end the stream here. Thank you so much to everyone who has tuned in. Really appreciate it. Please do leave your thoughts in the comment section below on what your predictions are and what your thoughts are going into this game. Are you confident? Are you nervous? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel as well if you are new. And thank you very much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the reaction of the game. Hopefully, I'll be very, very happy. And hopefully we'll be very happy after the game as well. But anyway, I'm going to end it there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for watching. And I'll see you guys after the game tomorrow.